deceived. Yeah. The same thing you get with the Jewish calendar today. All these people thinking the Jewish calendar is old. All these people thinking the Jewish calendar has substance. It means something that people just don't even realize the Jewish calendar is not even in the Bible. But yeah, it's crazy. Jewish calendar means nothing. Absolute fiction, just totally made up. It lines up with nothing in history at all. It's a total fiction. Somebody said, what's Tazarian's view on simulation theory? I don't know, but if you're new to my channel and you're assuming that simulation theory is basically all I put out, then you got a lot to learn here. A lot to learn here. Simulation theory is a personal conclusion based off all the data sets that I cannot reconcile otherwise. It is not something I impose upon you. You don't have to believe it. The archaic data stands alone. It does not need simulation theory. Yeah, let's not confuse the two. Oh, 921 in the chat. We're almost there. Man, I'm so glad my audio is good. 138 check. Thank you, sir. Love that number. Love that number. Yeah, I got up this morning. Dawn asked me what was going on. I said, girl, I'm on fire. I don't know what happened. I woke up with something. I woke up with my spirit vibrating, and I'm thinking about something. I gotta go look at some notes. So, man, 2 hours later, I came out of those notes with a full presentation. As you guys know, when I do these Ogygian presentations, the data is so much to take in. I don't expect you to take it in a single video presentation, even if you listen to the video 2 or 3 times. So I provide free PDF downloads. I'm going to put a link in the description box of this video as soon as this video is over, where you can download this entire presentation. It's deep. It's going to make sense of the entire ancient world and why they developed all their calendars and why the ancient world that we've been taught is after the 25-year darkness of the Ogygian deluge in 1687 BC. Because the ancient world that was before 1687 BC that we're going to be talking about was technologically advanced, and it was nothing like after 1687 BC. A whole lot of focus has been put on the Great Flood of Noah, which was 552 years, a phoenix cycle before the Ogygian deluge. It was in the month of May in the year 2239 BC. However, we are seeing more and more and more evidence that flood, that collapse of the vapor canopy wasn't near as destructive as the 1687 BC. The first 3 videos I've already shown you, it was total destruction. It was absolute civilization wipeout. We don't really have that with the 2239 BC. We do have scientific verification from many different sources that in about 2240 BC, which is 1 year variance, about 2240 BC, every old Bronze Age civilization collapsed. But that's not a wipeout. We still had many cultures and races that further developed to become mighty nations and empires in the Heliolithic Maritime Empire of the post-Technolithic period, which was after the Great Flood of 2239 BC. So for so many hundreds of millions of people to still be here, what we had with the Great Flood of Noah was a great scattering and a great destruction, maybe earthquakes, infrastructure collapsed, people moved around to survive. But 552 years later, they're building metropolises of megalithic blocks all over the world. And the program got interrupted. And archaeologists have never had a sufficient explanation for why all these tools, hammers, chisels are found in the workshops and quarries as if they were just thrown down. But there's no skeletons. The people all made it away. You have to understand, guys, it's not common in antiquity to abandon a tool. In some cultures in ancient times, when a worker was given a tool, his life depended upon its return. Yeah, you couldn't just borrow a tool. It's like Texas prison today. You turn your ID card in to get a screwdriver to go use that screwdriver where you need it. You better bring that screwdriver back to get your ID back, because you can't do anything. You can't eat. You can't sleep. You can't walk around from building to building and cell block to cell block without your ID. In Texas prison, same thing in the ancient world. You had better keep up with your tools. To drop tools, hammers, and chisels would have been some type of corporal punishment to lose those tools in the ancient world. Yeah, it wasn't like today when you can manufacture things so easily, and we're often just losing the very tools we just bought a week before. It wasn't like that back then. So to find tools and weaponry and all the stuff abandoned on the ground, right there where archaeologists say was the ancient surface of those workshops. No, something caused people to drop everything and run. So this is what we're getting into, guys. The Ogygian deluge, but we're not looking from our perspective back into the past. We're going to go into the past where it all began. And then we're going to move forward to the Ogygian deluge. And your eyes are going to be open as to the critical mistake that they made. I love that coffee. Over 1,000 in the chat. It's time to begin. It's time to begin. So, another thing we're going to answer how it was possible. In this presentation, we're going to answer how exactly it was possible for a cataclysm to even sneak up on them when they had already documented so widely and created all these calendars as evidence of that documentation, of all these past resets, these past floods, these past cataclysms, these past vapor canopy collapses. How? I'm going to tell you how. We're also going to answer in this presentation really, how would I word that? Yeah, we'll just get into the presentation, because that's just being redundant now. It's going through my mind. So we will answer in this presentation, though, how did they not predict the return of the Phoenix in 1687 BC? How did you not do that when the Great Flood 552 years before was also caused by the Phoenix? Okay, but so was an event before that. During the vapor canopy period, we have a Phoenix phenomenon event, 2647 BC. Or 2653 BC. One's Nemesis X, one's Phoenix. But we have the events recorded. They're in my chronicon. They're in my chronicon. So with 2, maybe 3, 3895 BC, Adam and Eve reset. With 2, maybe 3 Phoenix episodes already recorded in the past, how did they not know that this was going to happen? You're going to find out in this presentation. It has everything to do with how we compute time. And this is relevant to where we are today. So a lot of people that are borrowing into the socialist, communist mindset of undermining of society. Years ago, a series of papers were published that are widely distributed. The Communist Manifesto was specific about how they were going to basically create the fall of the West. They knew that militarily they could never do it. So they knew that the day is come. This is published over 100 years ago. But they knew that they had to get the American people, mainly the people of the United States, is what they were focused on. They needed to get the American people to no longer trust their presidents, no longer trust their governments, no longer trust their militaries, no longer trust their collegiate and scholastic institutions, no longer trust their scientific institutions. They needed the American people to no longer exercise trust in their schools, in their social networks, to no longer trust each other. They needed, and in order to do that, they had set out to publish a tremendous amount of materials to get the American people to not even trust their history.